From the quoting to the sandblasting, the washing and the phosphate treatment, our quality control checks are the most rigorous in the industry. We have instituted full part traceability throughout the manufacturing process, and all products are measured and inspected for specification conformity before deployment to you. Locate our factory in Kejabri off the Takrady Takwa Road. Call 0302 949917 or 0540 107504. Email enquiries at rigworldsolutions.com. Rigworld Solutions, crafted in Ghana, engineered for the world.
This is the beating heart of an African ready for what is next. And this is the sound of a Ghanaian drum setting the pace. Together, it creates a seamless rhythm of what is and what is to come. A sense of purpose which says that there is more to the Ghanaian than a dream. Ghana always stands ready, and First National Bank is happy to invest, partner, and help Ghana to discover more. This is why we are happy to announce our acquisition and subsequent merger with GHL Bank, Ghana's leading provider of mortgage financing. A merger which delivers an opportunity to discover more growth and prosperity for all Ghanaians. Shh. Listen to the heart beat to the rhythm of the drums. It is time for Ghanaians to discover more together. First National Bank and GHL Bank come together as First National Bank. How can we help you?
The Point of View is powered by Airtel Tigo. Have you heard that Airtel Tigo calls from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. and Airtel Tigo money transfers are now free on new SIMs? Now you know. Airtel Tigo. Life is simple. And Lydia Contraceptive. With Lydia, you truly decide.
Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show on television. Here on The Point of View, we pick the right topics, we get the right guests, ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you, and we hope you learn something all the time. It's a few months to election 2020, and we are gearing up for it with some very interesting analysis. Tonight we'll be accounting for the 6-week voter registration exercise. 36 days of registration, 2 days of mop-up. What are the numbers saying? We'll do our own analysis on the show for you tonight, and then we'll take reactions from the two leading political parties on what their own numbers are saying. Who's winning? Who's losing? How come the numbers are showing what they're showing? It's going to be an exciting show. It's interactive. If you're watching on television, send us your comments on the WhatsApp number on the screen. If you're watching on any of our social media platforms, please feel free to get in touch. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Point of View. So tonight, with 35 days accounted for and 1 day left to be added, with 16.6 million registered voters. We also haven't added the 2 days of mop-up. We'll try and find out what the numbers are saying about the register. Don't forget, we had 16.8 million voters in 2019. The new register has 16.6. Projections are to get to 17 million. Tonight, we are not really arguing about whether we need a new register or not. I'll leave that to the politicians who will join me later. But I'm going to walk you through what we found. We've made about 5 key observations about the numbers. We'll share those with you. Then we'll ask Evans Nimako, who's the Director of Elections of the MPP and also the lead spokesperson on this matter from the MPP side, what he makes of the numbers. We'll also speak to Mr. Peter Boama Otokunor of the NDC, the Deputy General Secretary, on the numbers. So let me start by showing what the EC themselves have put out. So the EC, after day 35, now there were 6 phases. Each phase had 6 days. If you look on your screen, in the first row, you would have week 1. Fantastic. Now, you would notice that as of day 35, we had 16 million registered voters, 16.6 million. Now, that excludes day 36, which was the last day of the final phase. This also excludes the 2 days of mop-up, Saturday and Sunday. On Tuesday, the Electoral Commission will give us the final figures. But we've learned a few things from this. If you look at the first phase, the average number of registered voters per day was 367,000 voters. So that's the average number per day. Now, if you go to week 2, the number increased to 370,000. So there was an increase, 370,000. Now, if you come to week 3, the number almost doubled to 631,000. And that number maintained a high figure by week 4, 564,000. 564,000. Sorry about the writing there. And then, of course, week 5, 456. Now, you notice that these 2 phases were your peaks. Again, if you look at the figures, the first days are always higher than the next days. So look at week 3, 712. It moves 785, 737, 620, comes down to 449. Same for phase 4 and 5. So if you look at the trend, we're expecting another 200K for the final day, which has not been added, and possibly another 100,000 for the mop-up exercise. So all in all, we're expecting some 300,000 more voters to be added. So it looks like we're going to get some 17 million registered voters by the end of this exercise. Now, what does this mean? I'll break it down for you very shortly. But let me take you into some quick history. Now, the key point to remember here is that every election year, our voter turnout and our election numbers behave in a very interesting way. So, for example, look at the year 2000. The year 2000 had 10.6 million registered voters. This looks a bit packed, so I'll take you back to this one. This is from my friend Obing Boating. This is a bit clearer. So look at the year 2000. In the year 2000, you had 10.6 million voters who registered. Guess how many voted? 6.6 million. So this was 62% turnout. So the column here, this column is the turnout. This is the turnout column. Now, this is an important column to look at because there's an interesting correlation between the turnout figure and who actually wins the election. Who won the election in the year 2000? NPP. Now, NPP was an opposition party. So this is Mr. J. Kufuor. He won the election as an opposition candidate. Now, if you go to 2004, what figure are we looking at? 2004, 10 million voters, 8.8 million voted, 85% turnout. Kufuor was in government, so incumbent wins. Incumbent wins. So you have opposition, you have incumbent. This correlation keeps behaving the same way. For example, 2008, what's the figure for turnout? 70%. 2012, 80%. 2016, 69%. So look at the behavior of this. When you have 62%, below 70, an opposition party wins. Turnout goes 85%. Incumbent maintains power. 70% comes down, opposition wins again. John Mills. 2012, 80%. Incumbent NDC, John Mahama. 2016, 69%. What happened? Opposition wins. Okay. Now, we are not saying that it means that if there's a high turnout, Nanado will win, and if there's a low turnout, your mama will win. But there's a very strong correlation between a high voter turnout and a change and a maintenance of the incumbent. A high correlation between a high turnout and the incumbent winning. When there's a low voter turnout, the incumbent tends to lose, opposition tends to win. So this is to get you an understanding to why the political parties are very keen on registering as many people as possible. And also, we don't know what that will mean for turnout, but you should keep an eye on that. The other interesting point we noticed was that from the year 2000, Ashanti region has always had more people voting than the national average. So look at Ashanti region here. Look at their turnout, 65%. 2004, 89%. So Ashanti is 3% more than the national average. 2004, 4% more than the national average. Ashanti region in 2008, the average was 70% for the nation. Ashanti is 74. 2012, 80% voter turnout. What is Ashanti? 86. 2016, 69%. Ashanti, 76. So Ashanti region has a very peculiar way of behaving. In fact, if we plot this on a graph, it will show you that, there you have it, Ashanti region always turns out higher than the nation. Now this is important because when we show you the registrations for 2020, you will notice that Ashanti lost some votes. But that doesn't mean anything when it comes to turnout, because actually, the fewer your votes, the higher your turnout, because your registered voters could be compensated for by more people voting. So if you have 10 people on your electoral roll and 8 of them vote, that's 80% turnout. But if you have 5 people on your register and 4 of them vote, that's 90% turnout. So this is a very interesting statistic. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are asking, how does Ashanti compare with Volta region? Okay, so let me make my map a bit more tidy, and I'll show you what Volta region is doing. So Ashanti is always doing better than the national average when it comes to turnout. Ashanti people like voting more than most people. What is Volta region's behavior here? So the Volta region, in the year 2000, the turnout was 60%. 60% among the Volta region, 60%. The national was 62. Okay. Now look at the year 2004. 2004 is an outlier year because the 85% turnout has not been ever repeated. And Volta region, this is the only year that Volta region's turnout was higher than the national average. But MPP still won. Okay. Now let's go to 2008. How is Volta region behaving? 67%. What is the national average? 70. Volta is 3% lower. 2012. What is the national average? 80. What is Volta doing? 76. 2016. National average 69. Volta 62. So that's something to keep an eye on. So as the results start coming in 2020, look at the turnout. Again, strong correlations, no causality yet. We'll explain the causalities later. So we've established that Ashanti tends to vote higher than the national average. Show me the Volta chart. It looks like Volta tends to vote lower than the national average, except in the year 2004, where Volta had more people voting than the national average. So far, so good. Making sense? Okay. Let's now show you the region. So this is Volta. Yes, that's Volta region for you. So look at 2004. In 2004, Volta voted more than the average, but every year after that, they voted lower. So the turnout has been pretty poor. Now, I asked myself, which region approximates closest to the national behavior? Now, that answer shouldn't be difficult if you've been following election analysis in Ghana. Now, we have 4 swing regions: BA, Central, Western, and Greater Accra. Now, the region that tends to mimic the national average for both turnout and outcome is the Central region. This year, watch out for the Central region, because again, when we come to the comparison of the numbers, Central behaves in a very interesting way. But let's just show you why Central is an important region. So Central region, there you have it up there. In the year 2000, 62% average. Central has 64. That's just 2% higher. 2004, 85%. Central had just 1% lower. So far, so good, right? Let's look at 2008. The national average was 70. What is Central doing? 69. Wow. Central region is amazing. 2012. National average 80. What is Central doing? 79. 2016. National average 69. Surprise, surprise. Central 68. So we need to go and find out what's happening there. And the other point is that the party that wins that region tends to win the nation. So in 2000, they rejected Mills. 2004, they maintained Kufuor. 2008, they voted massively for Mills. Voted for Mahama in 2012. Rejected Mahama in 2016. So Central region, you have some stuff to show us. Now, let me do something finally here on Greater Accra before I show you the behavior of the registration. Greater Accra, apart from the year 2000, has had the largest number of voters in the country. So look at the year 2000 voter numbers, registration numbers and voting numbers. Greater Accra has 1.8 million. There you have it, 1.8 million. In the year 2000, Ashanti had 1.9 million. But look at it, 2004, Greater Accra took over 2 million. Ashanti comes down to 1.8. Okay, my work is a bit dirty. I'll clean it shortly. Let's go to 2008. Greater Accra, 2.5 million. Ashanti, 2.3. Greater Accra is in the lead. 2012, and this is just registered voters, 2.7 million. Ashanti, 2.5 million. 200,000 more. 2016, Greater Accra, 3.06. Ashanti, 2.8. So Greater Accra has the most people. Now, of course, Greater Accra's turnout mimics Volta in the sense that if you look at Greater Accra's turnout, and my work is getting a bit dirty, so let me clean it up a bit. Then I'll show you how Greater Accra behaves when it comes to turnout. So Greater Accra's turnout, apart from the year 2004, in fact, including the year 2004, Greater Accra's turnout has not been that great. So again, for those who are saying, well, if you look at the latest numbers the EC has put out, Greater Accra is going to determine the election. That's true, but let's put some nuance to it. 2000 election, the year that Kufuor defeated Mills in their first matchup, national average 62, turnout for Greater Accra is 59, so 3% lower than the national average. 2004, everybody went up, but Greater Accra is still below the national average, 84. Let's go to 2008. Can you guess? I'm sure right now you are getting the drift. Greater Accra, average is 70 for the nation. Greater Accra, 67. 80% 2012. Greater Accra's average, 78. Still 2% lower. 2016, 69% turnout for the nation. What's Greater Accra doing? 67. So, two things. Voter registration numbers, key. Turnout, more important. Don't ever forget that. Voter registration numbers important, turnout more important. So if I show the Greater Accra chart, Greater Accra is always below the national average. So far, so good, right? So Greater Accra is the thick black line, and national is the orange line. So this is Greater Accra. Now, let's move into 2020, 2019. Now, let's show you the number of people who've registered, because I think that's a very important point. In the year 2019, we had a district level election, and the electoral roll had 16.8 million people. So there's a feeling that the electoral register is bloated. And again, when my two guests come, we'll discuss the bloating issue. So the EC said they couldn't use the system that they've been given by the Israeli company. The register has foreigners. It's flawed. It has over 800,000, about 800,000 people who are not supposed to be there because they use the NIA card to register, NHIA card to register, which they oughtn't not. So they came up with a new register. Now, what's going on here? As of day 35, we have 16.6 million registered. Now, from all projections, we are going to have at least 300K added. So by the close of day, we'll have 17 million registered voters. Okay. Now, where are these numbers coming from? 5 regions lost voters. If you compare the registered voters now to the registered voters in 2019, 5 regions gained. And I'm going to show you very quickly those 5 regions that lost and those 5 regions that gained. So look on this chart. The losers, Eastern region, in 2019, they had 1.7 million registered voters. As of day 35, I haven't added what happened on day 36. I haven't added what happened in the 2 days. But still, very important statistic to notice. Eastern region's numbers had dropped from 1.7 million here. It had dropped to 1.5 million. So Eastern region lost 140,740 voters. That's significant. Second region to have lost is Western. Now, we have added Western North to Western because we just want to keep the aggregations easy to follow. Western North and Western we've put together. Together, the regions lost, they were on 1.7 million. They've come down to 1.5 million. So here's the figure. 138,000 lost. Look at Volta. 2019, 1.3 million. It's come down to 1.2 million. Volta has lost 116,000. Ashanti, 3.067. Come down to 2.9. Lost 87,000. Upper East has also made some losses. Now, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to add the losers. When you add these figures, these 5 regions, Eastern, Western, Volta, Ashanti, Upper East, if you put them together, so you just put a nice bracket here, this is 537,000 voters have been lost. Beautiful. Now let's come to those who gained. There you have it, Greater Accra. 3.2 million in 2019, almost 3.5 million. And the number is going to go up. Northern region, this includes Savannah, Northeast, and then the North-North. 1.52 million is now 1.59 million, 65K more. Upper West region, 442,000, gone up by 17,000 to 457. There are some interesting theories. So watch this. I'm going to ask my political party to explain this to me. Some people say that Western's loss is Upper West gain. They are mentioning Côte d'Ivoire. They need to explain that. Some people say Greater Accra's gain is Upper East loss. They are saying there's a relationship here. Again, we'll try and understand this. Finally, Brona Hafo, the 3 BA regions put together, 17,000. And then Central region, 9,000. Now, if you put all of this together, these regions together gain 355K. So there's a net of 181K. 181K lost. Of course, this excludes day 36 and then the mop-up. So far, so good. I'll take a short break. When I come back, I'm going to test my assumptions with the parties. But let me just summarize what I've said so far for your understanding. So far, we've said that there is a strong, I won't call it causality, but there's a strong, the proper word is correlation with a lower voter turnout and opposition victories. I think this is clear. There's a strong correlation. Change the word coincidence to correlation. Coincidence means I wear a red shirt and my producer wears a red shirt. It's random. Correlation means that every day I wear a red shirt, he also wears a red shirt. When I wear a blue shirt, he wears a blue shirt. That's correlation. Causality means that because he has a mirror and a television camera in my room, when I wear a red shirt, he also chooses to wear a red shirt. So that's the cause. Are we together? So we're saying that low turnout coincides with opposition victories. higher turnout coincide with incumbent victories. So maybe if people decide that they won't vote this year because they're angry with the government, it tends to affect the ruling government more. When people go out in their numbers to vote, the ruling governments tend to benefit. This is what we've seen so far. So those are the top 2 points I've shown you. We have also shown you that Ashanti region turnout is always higher than the national average. So even though Ashanti has lost votes, even though Ashanti has lost numbers compared to the previous registration, that doesn't necessarily mean that Ashanti's turnout will be low. It could actually be high. Again, Volta region's turnout is always lower than the national average. And then, of course, Central region's turnout is close to the national average. Couple of things. Central region has gained a lot of votes. Some people think it's because of Kaswa, because Kaswa's population has increased quite rapidly. We'll discuss that as well. The places in the Western region that lost votes, a lot of them are in the Western North region. In fact, if I came here, I'll show you something before we go for the break. Quickly, if I came on this diagram, look at Western North. Western North is G here. Western North lost some 73,000 voters. And Upper West gained 17,000 voters. What's going on there? Greater Accra gained 245,000. So even if you break it down, in the new regions, Western North lost sizably. All right? Oti also lost 37,000. What's going on with Oti region? Western itself, look at it, 64,000. What's going on? What did the political parties do? What's happening? When we come back, I'm going to ask the political people to tell me, because I didn't go to all the centers. They had people everywhere. But so far, we're making some analysis that watch out for voter turnout, watch out for the overall behavior of Ashanti and Greater Accra. Central is going to be very, very important. We don't know why Upper West gained. We don't know why Upper East lost. Some people have reasons. We'll ask our guests to try and explain this. This is the point of view. Stay with us.
Thanks so much for watching.
2 healthy kids last night. Congrats. Have you heard? Kwesi has
2 kids. Have you heard?
My son has 2 kids. Abazi. No, no. Your sister almost 7. Have you heard the news about the missing chicken? Have you heard? Get free calls and free Airtel Tigo money transfers for 6 months on new Airtel Tigo SIMs. Get a SIM today.
Shop online, get free swipes, and enjoy greater security with a card that turns banking on its head. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
Welcome back to The Point of View. Today is the class act edition. I'm trying to teach. The show is brought to you by Airtel Tigo. Life is simple. I have Evans Nimako of the MPP, Peter Bom Otokunor of the NDC. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Based on what I've done, will I get a job?
And thank you for having me.
Will I get a job in any party as a research assistant? Based on what I've done so far. So if they sack
you
me,
have it already.
So if they sack me, I can go.
Report tomorrow.
With some in-house training, I think that you can get the job.
Bernard, report tomorrow.
I'll report tomorrow. Otokunor says he needs to do real in-house training, but
yes,
Nimako will
yes.
pay. Okay.
A little in-house training.
First comment. 16.6 million is the total figure without the 36 and without the mop-up. Let me start with Otokunor. What do you make of that? 16.6 million registered so far. We are projecting 17 million by tomorrow when the EC puts everything together. What does that mean, Otokunor?
Well, your 7.
Oh, Otokunor, your background is very good, but your internet is not strong. Let me try and reconnect with Otokunor. Let me get this thing. Nimako. Evans, are you there? 16.7 million. What are your comments? Projected 17 million by tomorrow.
Hello.
Yes, Evans. I'm taking your initial comments on the number we have. The 16.7.
Thank you.
Yes. Go ahead.
It's the Otokunor because the effort is not being of help. Then I think that do you have me?
Yes, you are on. Go ahead.
Bernard, good. So
yes. Otokunor, hold on.
If I may, I mean, you are not the host.
Okay,
so
Otokunor is back. Otokunor, just go ahead. Nimako, just relax. Otokunor is back. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So I was making the point that with the 36 days, from what we are having from our records, we have some 16.8 million.
Yes.
31,743. And that is not significantly different from what was on the old register, just some 13 million difference from the old register. But now when you look at the analysis that you just made and the deviations where there have been significant shortfalls and where there have been gains in the numbers, you will realize that all the MPP strongholds lost significantly.
Okay.
They lost a total of about 234,563, which causalities we may want to discuss later. And it's mainly the eastern region, the Ashanti region, and the western region. Now, if you look at the NDC, considering the 10 major strongholds of the NDC, we lost about 126,355, votes in 5 of the strongholds. And the strongholds are the Northeast, the Bono East region, the Northern region, the Savannah region, and the Upper West region. That is 126,335. Now, we gained significantly. We gained in these strongholds we gained 126,355. Then we lost some 230,221 votes in some other 5 strongholds. And these strongholds are the Volta region, Western North, Ahafo region, Oti region, and the Northern region. Here, the difference with the analysis that you did is that we are not combining the old regions. We are using the new regions and data from the new regions. So you can see the issues more clearer. The explanatory variables can easily be identified, and you can, design the causalities and all that. So if you look at our strongholds in the 10 regions, there would be a net loss of 103,866 votes. So when you compare that net loss to the net loss of some 234,563 votes in the strongholds of the MPP, I think that any strategist who is advising the MPP will be
Otokunor, just go through this again. Your strongholds are Volta, Western North, Oti, and which one?
Volta, Western North, Ahafo, Oti region, Northern region. Then we have the Northeast, the Bono East, the Savannah, and the Upper West region.
Good.
And I made the point that if you look at areas like the Northern region, we gained significant votes. We gained in Bono East region. We gained in Northeast region. We gained.
No, just hold on. I want to follow what you are saying. So just relax for me.
Okay. I wish I had your device.
I'm showing you the screen now. I'm showing you the screen now. Your strongholds, according to NDC, are Upper West.
Yes.
Savannah.
Yes, the strongholds are Upper West.
Savannah. Northern
region.
Oti.
Bono
East. Ahafo.
Northeast.
Is Ahafo your stronghold?
Yes, Northeast.
Okay, but Ahafo is not your stronghold.
Yes, no, Ahafo is our stronghold. Ahafo is part.
Ahafo is part of the
Western North is part.
Okay, and then which other one? Volta.
And Volta region.
Okay.
So here you are looking ostensibly at some 10 regions. And I'm saying that in all these 10 regions, we gained in 5 regions and we lost in 5 regions. And we gained some 126,355 cumulatively from the 5 regions that we gained. And we lost some 230,221 in the 5 that we lost some votes. And so the net loss would have been 103,866. So 103 1,866.
Negative.
Then you would want to compare that to the strongholds of the MPP, where the net loss was 234,563. So that tells you clearly that perhaps we stand very tall.
Okay.
In terms of the analysis.
Let's hold it there.
If we are looking superficially.
So let's just get it. Your strongholds, you had a net loss of 103,000.
Yes.
And you are saying that. Good. Let me come to Nimako to tell me what his strongholds are, because you know your strongholds. You are saying that his strongholds, they lost 234,000. Mr. Nimako, exactly. let's check the analysis. What are you going to do this stronghold analysis to, and which of the regions are your strongholds, Mr. Nimako?
Thank you very much. I think that the New Patriotic Party is a national party, so we cut across the whole of Ghana, the whole of the regions, across polling stations. Okay. That is the position of the party. We work out, said that the good people of Ghana who are eligible, who have the opportunity to exercise their franchise, who see wisdom to support the New Patriotic Party in all elections.
Okay.
Yes, it's possible that we may have some sizable control in some regions, but 100% of 5 is 5, and 20% of 5 will be different. And the same way, 5% of 30 will be different from 100% of 5. I think that Otokunor can go ahead and jumble the figures the way he wants. But at the end of the day, the good people of Ghana will see wisdom and still have Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as the president of Ghana. So they can go ahead. They can have all the regions in their favor.
But let me show you something. Let me show you something. Look at the thing I put on the screen. Ashanti is your stronghold. It's one of the biggest losers. Eastern is your stronghold. There's a loss. The loss for Western, Volta. Western is neither here nor there. Volta and Upper East are NDC strongholds. Shouldn't these two things worry you, that these are your two? In fact, in 2012, these are the regions Akufo-Addo won. If you are having a net loss in these two regions, okay, should the MPP not be worried? Eastern region, we lost 140,740. Ashanti region 87. Aren't you concerned about these two figures? That's almost 250,000 fewer voters. Should that not concern the MPP strategist?
No, Mr. Otokunor can sit in the comfort of his office and be happy. But check it. In 2016, the turnout in Volta region was 61%. Okay, so you can have a very huge number. Greater Accra in 2016 had more numbers than Ashanti region. But in terms of MPP's gain, it was more than in Greater Accra. So for us, we're looking at who are eligible to vote and how we can reach out to those people. But there's one insightful issue I want to point to you. The Justice Crab Committee pointed out that there were almost 600,000 dead people on the register that needed to be taken out in 2015. In the Abu Ramadan's
case,
Nimako's case,
yes,
the Electoral Commission was directed to take out some names.
Yes.
And we saw what happened.
Yes.
In just recent times, the EC told us that there were almost 800 quarantine names on the register, as in multiple registrants or double registration or whatever. And so there were some challenges with it. And so you need to look at all these and see the way forward. But I think that Mr. Otokunor is happy that they have a Ahafo, they have Upper West, Upper East and all that, and that they have gained whilst we have lost. At the end of the day, I think that, as I've said earlier, the people of Ghana will go to the polls and will decide who should be the president of Ghana.
Fair enough. That's a fair point. Let me come back to Otokunor. If you look at 16.7 million registered so far, projections are around 17. Was it even necessary to do this exercise at all, in view of the fact that in 2019 we had 16.8 million? And so essentially the register has increased by maybe some 200,000. Are you of the school of thought that this was necessary or this was not necessary? Looking at the new figures, Otokunor.
Bernard, I think that our position on this register was very loud and clear, and perhaps we stand vindicated by our position, because when the Electoral Commission and the MPP came out that the register was bloated, and that having a register that is some 56% of population is unrealistic, and that it should be less than 50%. We told them that in Ghana, things are different, and people use voter ID cards for different purposes. So if you have some 16.8 million on your register, it cannot be bloated. Now, considering what Evans just alluded to, that there were some 600,000 dead people on the voter register, and the fact that some 57,000 people were removed with national health insurance, card as the foundation document for their holding of the voter ID card. That clearly exposes the Electoral Commission, and perhaps any serious government should be looking at taking the Electoral Commission on for causing financial loss to the states, because clearly, if they had gone through the limited registration exercise, which we advised, and they had registered some 600,000 people in addition to the register, we would be hovering around the same numbers that we got, and perhaps we wouldn't have spent close to $1 billion or over $1 billion Ghana cedi on this whole exercise. But again, the compilation of the new voter register also has brought some exposés. It has revealed the weakness of our sovereignty. It has revealed the weakness of our political system, and it has also revealed the weakness in Akufo-Addo's leadership. And I think for us, that is a gain, because clearly the challenges, the significant challenges we had in this registration exercise was not the operational rigidities that confronted the Electoral Commission, but rather the viciousness of the government, the wanton viciousness, the open daylight, attack on the sovereignty of the state by the government using the state apparatus. I think that is what has been revealed. And perhaps what again has been revealed is that moving into 2020 elections, the Akufo-Addo government have not changed from their ways, and they have not changed from the Ayawaso West Wagon ways, and what they did in the Ayawaso West Wagon conference. Right. And perhaps the security experts and independent-minded people like you, Bernard, should now take this matter very serious, the matter of election security moving into these elections. But Bernard, before I quickly allow in, there's a very critical angle that we have to look at, which is the swing regions, the central region, the Bono region, and the Greater Accra region. You will realize that the swing regions are holding some significant increments in their numbers by some 283,506. And out of that 283,506, Greater Accra alone is holding 87.3%. Now, what is significant to know, the causalities, if you want and you have time and you may want to talk about some of them, is that strategically we encourage all our people not to move into their regions to go and register, not to be bussed into their home regions to go and register. So most of the votarians in Accra were encouraged to stay and register. That accounts for the significant increment in the votes in Greater Accra. Then in Central region, you alluded very right that the Kaswa votes actually caused the increment in the Central region. Yeah. There again, majority, in fact, over 50% of the people who reside in Kaswa, about I think 50.2% based on the statistics, are mostly votarians, and most of them did not move to their regions to go and register. You would recall that Pitamewu was having problems moving some people from Kaswa to his area and so on and so forth. And on several cases, they had to stop them and so on and so forth. So,
but Otokunor, there's a question for you. There's a question for you before I go to Nimako. And again, let me show you my numbers. Nimako raised this point and you haven't addressed it. He raises the point about turnout. So the voter region, which is your stronghold, apart from the year 2004, every year your turnout has been lower than the national average. And again, I'm going to show you. Voter is 60 for 2000, and the turnout for the national average is 62. I can show you the same for almost every year, apart from 2004, that the voter turnout is lower So here it is, 2008,
Okay.
Volta 67, national is 70. Volta 76, national is 80. Volta 62, national is 69. Evans' stronghold, national 70, Ashanti 74, national 80, Ashanti 86, national 69, 70. So he's saying that even though you are analyzing the numbers of registered voters, he thinks the figure to look at is the figures I've circled. That's what you should be concerned about.
Absolutely not. Not in this election. This election would defy all your correlations that you have done.
Really?
The reason why this election would defy all your correlations is that never has there been any election that is bound on the sovereignty and the soul and the citizenship of the people.
Hey.
And you see, the reason why this election will be different, and the reason why people really registered in most of the areas where the MPP and the government deliberately put together mechanisms to suppress them, was that they wanted to show the government that the sovereignty of the state lies in them, and nobody can define their citizenship beyond the constitution. And that is why you had the level of alacrity and enthusiasm from our people registering mostly in those ethnic strongholds. And I've made the case for Kaswa and Greater Accra. So this year, you are not going to see the usual, voter turnout being low with respect to the average. Now, switch quickly to Ashanti region, and I will tell you why the MPP should be worried. The reason why the Ashanti region votes went down significantly and massively is because of voter apathy. There's a lot of MPP voter apathy in the Ashanti region, and I monitored Ashanti region for almost 3 weeks. You go to Ashanti region from first phase till the last phase, and the whole Ashanti region, you have 10 people, in the police stations in the morning. People felt very apathetic. They were not even concerned about the registration exercise. And again, in Ashanti region, most people thought that the acquisition of the Ghana card was enough for them, because if you have Ghana card, you can do anything that you want with it. And mostly people go in for this voter ID card because they want to use it for other transactions. And so the Ashanti region has significantly suffered a big blow in this registration exercise, and it will run into the election.
All right, let me take Evans's reaction to that.
There are complaints. Bernard, let me wrap up. There are complaints in the Ashanti region as a fallout from the various primaries that was done in the MPP, and that will significantly also affect voter turnout in the Ashanti region. So Evans Nimako shouldn't delude himself into believing that there is some wonderful correlation which will automatically generate into high voter turnout in the Ashanti region and a low voter turnout in the West region.
The question, the man is saying that because of the identity issues that came up, you have rather galvanized the opposition's base, and there's apathy in the Ashanti region, so the turnout will not be high. What are your numbers saying from the strong room of MPP?
Well, I think that Mr. Otokunor should be happy if the MPP is not doing well. But I think it's a different ballgame altogether. I mean, he's not different from his flag bearer and the running mates. They're all interested in telling poems. So you heard him ranting all over. I mean, this whole issue of NIA registrants, people felt that they are okay once they have the card. I think for us, we encourage members, Ghanaians eligible, those who are 18, reside in their electoral area, whether resident or ordinary resident, to go out and register in their numbers. Looking at the figures from the 2019 and then the New Patriotic Party has lost some gains. Well, I will leave that to him, and I'm happy that is their position. Going into this whole registration process, they never wanted Ghanaians to register. So in many times, Otokunor said that people have been disengaged from registering. People have not been allowed to register for NIA. People don't have a passport, and that MPP is on an arrangement to suppress people from voting and all that. But the figures are telling enough. What we think is that, yes, Ghanaians have had opportunity to register. They came out in their numbers. But, Bernard, if we had kept the 16.8 million register, and had gone ahead. He was saying that we're going to register a little bit of 600,000. In the just limited registration exercise in 2019, as many as 1.2 million people got registered. So even if we were going to have the same number, we're going to have 16.8 million plus 1.2 million. And that would have given us 80 million. Already the EC has told us that there are about 800 people who were on the quarantine list. So we have some sizable numbers. The NDC are still of the position that, yes, it was better to have kept the old register and do limited registration exercise. But we think that this is a more cleaner exercise that has been conducted. The EC did not only mention the issue of defects, not fit for purpose register, and voter management system that needed to be enhanced. And I think for us, the numbers we have are clear representation of those Ghanaians who are eligible to participate in the election of a president and a member of parliament. For us, we will still be keeping our cool. We'll be checking the figures the EC will chain out, and we'll go ahead to engage eligible voters to get them to vote for another.
Okay. I'll take a short break. When I come back, I'll read some quick comments and try and wrap up. We're talking to Evans Nimako, and we're also talking to Peter Otokunor. We're discussing the numbers. EC on Tuesday would organize a press conference and give us a full number. So far, it's 16.6 million. We're projecting 17 million. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
City TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access City TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and StarTimes box. City TV, it's your world.
Welcome back to The Point of View. Citizen Joachim Masamoah says that Ashanti is likely to see a turnout of 84%, room to room, compound to compound, should do the trick, especially during the last 20 days of the polls. There's an interesting question here that even though I'm comparing incumbent to opposition, I shouldn't forget that in 2020, there's a former president versus an incumbent. This will be the first time I have a former president. So they think that my correlation between low turnout and opposition winning, high turnout and government winning may not hold this year because this is the first time we're going to have a former president. Again, Electoral Commission press conference is Wednesday. So if you're watching this on Tuesday, Electoral Commission press conference is tomorrow. If you're watching this on Monday, it's 2 days from this. So don't be in a rush. So if you're watching this on Tuesday, EC's press conference is the next day. Moses Avadechi says, great analysis, Ben. Keep it up. Right. There's a lot of your comments coming through. Let me take two final comments from my guest. So, Mr. Otokunor, are you concerned that having a former president as your candidate doesn't really help the analysis we've done? Because, as we've said, low turnout usually favors opposition parties. But this is the first time we're having a former president. So we don't know if people are fatigued with the government. Your candidate being a former president will not benefit from the freshness. So usually people want a fresh person. They wanted Kufuor in 2000. They wanted Mills in 2008. They wanted Nanado in 2016. So the view is that your candidate may not be a fresh face. So the fatigue you talk about and the incumbency anger may not inure to his benefit. Maybe a smaller party will get it. What's your comment on that, Mr. Otokunor?
On the contrary, this case is akin to drinking some pineapple ginger and after that, taking Alafia B test. I mean, the pineapple ginger will be your heaven. So it may not bring in any fatigue at all. Indeed, what the analysis I made earlier, telling you that there would be a complete deviation from your analysis, gives credence to the fact that if we have a former president contesting the election, the dynamics is going to be different. In fact, people are energetic and excited about the ticket in 2020, not only because it is just a usual election and Akufo-Addo has performed very poorly, but because they have weighed the two, governments. They've carried water, they've carried alcohol. They've realized which of them is heavier, and that alone generates some inherent, alacrity among the voters and gets them to be more anxious about voting because they have seen the level of infrastructure development and growth, the level of economic growth, the level of economic stability that they enjoyed from the Mahama administration. So the alacrity is more, higher than in previous times. So your analysis will be completely thrown out of gear. But be that as it may, Bernard, there is one point that I have to make. I think that our friends in the MPP certainly do not read. And if they read, when they read, certainly they cannot understand. Because if you look at the statistics that were presented by the Ghana Statistical Service, it indicated clearly that we had some 1.7 million people who were qualified to register from 2019 to 2020. Now, the 1.7 million people, 1.2 million out of that number was registered in 2019. So ostensibly, this year when we were doing the arguments against the voter register, we went back to them and they gave us some 640,000 or 660,000 people who were eligible to register this year. So clearly there is no way you were going to register 1.2 million people unless you were going to register minors. So the fact that Evans was alluding to in respect of registering 1.2 million people last year. So if we had registered again, limited registration would have done 1.2. It doesn't work like that.
Okay.
It works with the numbers. You have available numbers, so you plan with the numbers, and the statistics are there to help. If you read and you don't understand the statistics, it may become.
All right. Thank you. Let me take Evans's closing comments. Yes.
Be that as it may, I think that one very critical, causalities which we maybe want to look at. And Bernard, moving forward, I think that we should be looking at the causalities more. They give us the real picture on the ground. Some of the extrapolations, I mean, doing trend analysis and all that is good. But when you look at the prevailing issues, it helps you to strategize better. It helps you to see the picture more clearly. I made the case about identity. Then one other critical point that you must also note is the economic crisis that we are in, the job losses, the financial sector crisis, and so on and so on.
Bernard, I think that's okay. I should come in at this stage.
Yes, thank you, Otokunor. Let me take Evans's comments. We have just 2 minutes.
Unemployment is high. The
Evans, thank you.
another public health challenge. That we may have to.
Otokunor is okay. Otokunor is okay.
I wasn't here.
No, time has ended. I beg you. Evans, you have the last word. Evans,
Bernard, I think that at this stage, yes, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will retire Mr. Mahama for good. He needs to take some rest. He never helped. The NDC's position has been that they didn't want a very clean-up register for the 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections. Thankfully, we've gotten it. I think that this whole registration process has been very successful. I'll use this opportunity to recommend and commend the Electoral Commission for good work done, and especially our party agents and members and executives across the rank and file for the commitment shown. I mean, looking at all the development through, I wouldn't want to go into the NDC's posture and all that, but Otokunor, Mr. Friankra, Mr. Sami Jemfi, their national chairman, have had enough giving it to the security agencies. That notwithstanding, they stood their grounds and have helped us to get to this stage. We think that December 7th will be the decisive point for Ghana and His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo will retain the seat and drive Ghana to the next
Thank you
level.
very much, gentlemen. I wish you both good luck in the campaign, as we do all the other political parties. Peter Bom Otokunor, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Evans Nimako, Director of Elections of the MPP, and we thank the team for putting this together. And my acknowledgements also to my good friend Opoku Boating, I think the name is, who gave me some nice numbers to work with. We'll be back on Wednesday with more. This is The Point of View. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
The Point of View is powered by Airtel Tigo. Have you heard that Airtel Tigo calls from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. and Airtel Tigo money transfers are now free on new SIMs? Now you know. Airtel Tigo. Life is simple. And Lydia Contraceptive. With Lydia, you truly decide.